Okay, sorry about that. I had a phone call. Hey, kiddo. Let's share to Discord real quick. Okay, Lancaster for Congress, perfect. Oh, we're gonna do this. Okay, we have that. Let's add to my story. Welcome in, everyone. And then we're gonna share to some people. Boom, 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 doom, 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 la di da dum dum. Boop, boop, boop. Let's see. Doom. Oops. There we go. Hi, Yuaf. How are you? Okay, and we'll add this because this will help to drive views. Add. Perfect. Nope, I don't want to buy it. I want to add it. I'm glad you're doing good. I got this freaking zit right there. It's a cyst. It finally popped. Bangs need to be in the... You got another new Legends limited character unit that you really wanted in Dragon Ball Legends, and this time it's full powered Jaren. Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. Where are my earbuds? There they are. Okay, I'm going to slide these in real quick. Perfect. And you can hear me. Because I am going to finish my cup of tea, making it here in just a minute, but I think Maria finally joined us. First I'll do that, and then I'll do this. Hi, welcome in. Jaren's full power form is a gray version of the Hulk, and his aura is literally like fire. Okay, bet. How are you doing, Maria?
Hey, I'm trying to figure out how to make sure that this works.
So we have audio. That is great. Now we just need visual. And while you figure that out, I'm gonna make my cup of tea.
This is the very first TikTok live that I'm ever joining. So I had visual a second ago, and now I don't know how to make it work. So give me just a second. Also, hi everybody.
Hi. If you click on your profile, you should get a box that pops up. If it doesn't pop up, you'll have to exit out, and then I'll re-invite you back in. So you'll exit out of TikTok and then come back in, and then it should reset itself.
All right, let's try that. I'll jump out and jump back in.
Perfect. Hi everyone, welcome in. Hi Kayla. How are you guys doing? Thank you for the heart, me. I even updated that to 10. Oh well, it's being weird with the update. We'll do that. Update. And we'll change that to 10. Confirm. Confirm. Update. Thank you. So weird. Okay, there we go. Why would I want to do that? Please do, Kayla. Please do send me an invite to your show. Yes. Please. You're muting you. Have a good one, Magpie. Try better next time.
Okay, I am back with you, and it won't let me unselect. It's like it's not allowing the video to be turned on, which is very weird.
That is really weird.
I know, like the box pops up and it shows me the little icon where theoretically I should be able to click it and turn it on.
Can't turn on the camera because Lancaster for Congress doesn't have access to join with video.
Weird.
How old's your account?
We try my other account and see if the other one works. Because the other one is months old. This one is newer.
Right. And yeah, how old is this account?
Maybe a month old.
Okay, that could probably be part of the
Yeah.
reason why,
All right.
because I know they do have some stipulations when it comes to length of time.
Okay, let me try then from the other account. I'll be right back.
Perfect. Okay. We will get this figured out. But we have Dr. Mariah Lancaster joining us. She is coming in from Massachusetts. She is running for their Congressional District 6, that is on the federal level. Transforms into his full power form in the Tournament of Power. He literally sets the entire Tournament of Power arena on fire. Okay. Okay, bet. But welcome in, everyone. Yeah, that's exactly it, Kayla. We do. We all have similar goals, and we do need to support each other. You know, it's why I was in Meta's live earlier talking with him, and then hopped on to Jeremy DeVito's live when he was on earlier. So that way I can help support them, you know, talk to them about their topics and get more engagement for them, because I really, really, really want a lot of you guys to just get the position. I want all of them to. I know we've had a few who've had to withdraw, and we've had those conversations with them, and it sucks, but they're not done, so they're going to be back on. Because a lot of people that I'm finding, they have a passion for helping others. He is awesome. He's awesome. Yeah, I just had Jeremy DeVito on Monday, and then I plan on having him on again soon too. And then let's see, after today, my next one is Nate Stout. So we're having him back on. He's in Indiana. And then we start May. Oh, Lord. Yeah, we do need to get them platformed. So one of the things I have been talking to people about is the fact that, well, there we go. We can see you.
Yay! Okay, it was
Now
account
we
age.
have audio.
I
Yeah,
figured it out.
it was age. It was age. Hey, Dancing Dutch.
Hi,
Welcome in, guys.
everybody.
But yes, Kayla, the whole goal is, so when I talk to people and I ask them outside of money, because I know that is the number one issue, what is the number one issue that you're coming across when it comes to trying to either, you know, score the primary general election? And the number one thing I hear is name recognition. People recognize their opponent's name, but not their name. You know, one guy, he's in Maryland. I actually hopped into his live yesterday and we were talking about that, where he's going against a billionaire and a multimillionaire. They have name recognition. One of the guy, he lost his Senate run. He's been in that position before. The other one's the one currently in the position. So he's got an uphill battle both ways in the snow with no shoes because of name recognition. Thank you for the heart, me. But yes, your name is Alex or Dutch. Love it. But welcome in, everyone. We have Dr. Mariah Lancaster joining us. She is running in Massachusetts for their Congressional District 6.
Yes. Hi, everybody. Mariah Lancaster here. They, them pronouns. Nice to meet you.
I love it. So the first question I'm going to ask you is just how is your campaigning going? I know that your primary is September 1st.
Yes.
You're currently 7 people in the Democratic primary race. So we do have 7 people total.
Yeah.
That can be lower by September 1st because we do know that for reasons people will drop. So how's campaigning going?
Yeah, it's going really well. I'm a first-time candidate, so it is definitely always going to be building the ship a little bit as you're sailing it, right? But it is an extraordinary experience, and we are building momentum every day. It's really wonderful, and every time I get out in the community and I share my platform and I am meeting folks, they're excited, and every single place I go, people pull me aside and go, you know what, I wasn't sure. I've met all the candidates and I'm gonna vote for you. And that is the biggest vote of confidence. And so it's really been an extraordinary experience getting this all started. Ooh, yay. Kayla, where are you in Mass? Just north of here? Are you in New Hampshire, Maine? Or here on the North Shore? I'm running in the northeast corner of Massachusetts. Oh, Southern New Hampshire. Yeah. So I'm a veterinarian by training, and I used to do some veterinary work in that area up in Portsmouth and in Lebanon back in like 2018 to 2020. And who knows? I've probably treated your friends' cats and dogs.
So, with campaigning and talking to everybody, What are some of the topics that they bring up as their primary concerns?
Oh boy, there's a ton. I mean, obviously affordability is on the tip of everybody's tongue. That can mean so many different things though. To some people that means housing prices and being able to actually afford their rent. And to other people that means being able to have a job that actually pays them enough, right? I think we talk a lot about how do we bring prices back down? How do we bring prices back down? And so much of it is just making sure that we're actually increasing wages and making sure that wages don't just keep up with inflation, but actually people get raises as they deserve them. And we're actually able to support the working class. So that is the big thing. Here on the North Shore, I mean, there's everything from transit issues, concerns around public transit and congestion on our highways, to making sure that we're combating climate change. We live in a coastal district. And so making sure that folks' homes are not imperiled by rising tides, but also that we continue to have a livable climate for the next generation, as especially folks our age, as they're thinking about building their families and being able to actually have a future for their kids. It's making sure that the world is actually livable for them, that there's going to be jobs for them on the other side of the AI boom, and that honestly, those families can even afford the childcare to even think about having a kid.
Yeah, that right there, because our childcare was more than our mortgage annually.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Especially if
And
you have
that
more than one kid.
not have to be that way. Yeah. I mean, one of my
Shouldn't
best
be that
friends,
way.
literally we've been best friends since we were kids. We came up together through middle school, high school. And she lives right across the bridge here. So I'm in Salem and she lives over in Beverly. And she has I think Avery's almost 13. He's 12 now, I think. And I was chatting with her the other day, like, would you maybe think about having another kid? And she's like, we can't afford it. The idea of being able to grow your family right now feels impossible.
It is. It's impossible. I mean, we outgrew our house when our daughter was born. My husband moved his office into our living room. Like literally. We lined our living room with all his transformers. His office is in my living room. Has been for a decade.
Yep.
We cannot afford to upgrade. We can't even stay in the same subdivision and upgrade a house. Because when we bought this house, it was 119. To turn around and sell it today, 260. If we fixed it up, 350. The 2-story houses in our development start at 400.
Yep.
We can't afford that.
Yeah.
And mind you, we do not live in $500,000 houses. We don't.
No.
Well, I'll be honest. They're like, this house maybe should have appreciated to 200,000 over the last 17 years, but not 300. There's no way.
Yeah. No, completely. And something that I think we talk a lot about is obviously building housing. We need that. We know we're behind. And the message that I'm always bringing to people is we're going to be presented with this false choice, like there's environmental protections and having public lands, or there's building housing. And that is just not true, right? We know that what we need is to revise our zoning and to make sure that we're building denser, walkable neighborhoods where people can actually have playgrounds and good schools that have enough kids in them, right? Especially in some of these rural communities where schools are struggling because they don't have enough enrollment. And it's, well, yeah, because folks aren't able to afford to have kids and they can afford to live in your beautiful bucolic town. But if we build some denser housing in some of these downtown areas that frankly have grown a bit anemic in our generation, being able to reinvigorate those downtowns, build denser housing, and not lose out on the incredible hiking trails or, coastal recreation areas that we still want to protect. And so those are all the ways that we balance that, while also providing greater accessibility for our older generation, for our elders, to transition out of, I know my parents are still in my childhood home, right? They're both retired. They don't need that much house, but they're holding on to it because they feel like, well, maybe one of their kids will want it someday, but also where would they go, right? Figuring out what that next step is for them. And so making sure that we're also building not just, elder care, which I think we have a fair amount of for folks that actually need that level of care, but transitional housing, right? Assisted livings that also have condos so that folks can feel comfortable moving into aging communities, have that community, right? That almost like reverse college campus, and financially incentivize that. And so part of what I've been talking about on the campaign trail is, well, how do we help some of our elders that maybe have a 2 or 3% mortgage rate, how do we make sure they can actually take that mortgage rate? And if they want to buy a smaller place, if they're downsizing, that we mandate that banks have to allow them to keep that mortgage rate if they're transitioning into smaller housing, right? And that frees up the larger houses, that provides greater market accessibility, so that then those families that need to grow actually have houses on the market to be able to grow into. Because otherwise, all of the prices are driven by scarcity. So if we can unlock the scarcity, right? We know that we have a lot of houses, but that they're not, we have to right size the population that's in them, if that makes sense.
It does. And then the other thing we also have to look at is foreign investors in our communities, because at least I know Indiana has this really, really bad issue right now where, and it's going up into Michigan now, where they have been buying up a lot of the homes in our areas. It's the reason why the houses in my subdivision are now $450,000 is because foreign investors came in, they started renting them out, they started buying them all up so that people don't actually own their own homes. They're renting it for a price that is, keep in mind, foreign investors, that money is not going back into our economy. It's going to another country to invigorate their economy. But we're living in those houses. It's not coming back to us. That's part of the problem, is we're taking so much money out of our economy by allowing all these foreign investors into our towns.
Well, and personally, I think you're hitting on something really incredible there in terms of just even the language that we're using. Like, yes, you know, I used to work at the State Department. There's a ton of malign influence from various countries that we have to control and combat. But I think also the term investment, when we're talking about investment in general in real estate, that is a pox. The reality is that nobody should be using real estate as an investment tool broadly, right? I understand if a family has a second home that they're renting out, and maybe it's an older couple or even a middle-aged couple that want to buy a property that maybe will be their retirement home eventually, and in the meantime they're going to rent it out, right? I'm not saying that everybody that owns one or two, three properties, right? Like, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the private equity firms that have hundreds to thousands of units, right? I'm talking about the folks that are investing in real estate like it's a sport and building a living off the backs of working people that cultivate real estate as passive income as their entire employment plan or their retirement plan. That cannot be something that we're allowing when families are struggling to be able to afford to live in a home, let alone buy a home. Right? Because all of that also drives up rental prices, that contributes to scarcity, because these landlords, if they don't want to rent it, they just choose not to rent it, and they've got a cushion because they're renting thousands of units. So they'll let housing units just sit empty for the sake of watching their price go up, and then they'll rent it for a higher price, as opposed to
I think every state needs to do with what Mom Donnie has done in New York, where if it's sitting empty and open, you pay for it. You pay something on it. If there's nobody residing in there, you pay for it, period. Because even if it's $100,000 house or a $500,000 house, it doesn't matter. If you are purposely letting it sit there just empty when somebody could be living there and having a roof over their head at a reasonable price, but you just don't want to rent because you want the price to go up, you are part of the problem. You need to pay.
Agreed. I completely agree. Yeah. And we're seeing progressives across the country fight for those kind of policies. And so that's why, for me, as a staunch progressive, I'm in this race, is because you can see how there are, and I'll tell you from a candidate perspective, what you see is the development money and the landlord money that flows into a lot of these races. And it really puts a thumb on the scale of the kind of policies that are put in place. And so making sure that we are actually electing people, that we're choosing people in our primaries, right, that are actually going to advocate for renters and for, somebody that owns a single family home, and that's it, right? We need to make sure that we're fighting for those families. I do want to say, Chronic Michelle, I'm curious whether you're talking about, I'm curious whether you mean in the context of housing or whether this is a pivot point to talk a bit about disability policy, because we can do either one. I just want to make sure that I understand the context of your question.
And we can do both.
Yeah, and we can do both.
I was going to actually bring that one up, be like, okay, what do you mean and how do you help disabled people? Because then you have people like me, which technically I should be disabled, but I'm too functional to be disabled. I have I have fibromyalgia, I have scoliosis, I have hyperlordosis, I have hyperkyphosis, I have spinal column narrows, spinal bulges, I have psoriatic arthritis, I have osteospinous stenosis, which is bone spurs on my lumbar.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's just my back. That's just my back. That's
Just
not
the
talking
back.
about the migraines or the this or the that. That is just from here to here. That's it. That's it. But
Yeah.
I am too functional for fibromyalgia to be considered disabled, but by definition, I have 4 autoimmune disorders that automatically qualify me for disability. But because I'm not bedridden, because I've chosen to take the medicine and go to physical therapy and have the surgeries and invest in massage and find out how I can live my life despite having this, I don't qualify.
We don't talk about this enough when we talk about disability policy. So I will also say I'm also a member of the disability community. My brother and I were both diagnosed with epilepsy in our teens. So we have hereditary epilepsy that runs in our family. I have my own spinal issues as well. I've got spondylolisthesis diagnosed at 15. I've got my own autoimmune stuff diagnosed just last year or the year before. So yeah, like having multiple disabilities, right? When it's like, oh, do you disclose to your employment? I'm like, check, everything.
Right.
But I'm incredibly functional. I take my meds. If my back goes out, I push my way, like I work my way through. I've got my inversion table set up in my living room. Like these are all pieces of living as a disabled person. And it's complicated, right? And not even everybody likes that label. Like I know that my brother does not identify as disabled, even though his epilepsy is just as severe as mine, if not more so. Yeah, absolutely. Chronic Michelle, diagnosis versus functionality. And so one of the things that I see, and this talks about disability policy more broadly, is access, right? To whether it's medications and care. So that is number one, is making sure that folks actually have access to the care they need, regardless of their socioeconomic status. And so with that, my number one priority in my platform is single payer universal health care. We talk a lot about Medicare for all. Every single person in this race is for Medicare for all. That's great. I don't think all of them started their race that way, but I think a lot of them tested the winds and realized where it was blowing. But it's great that everybody's for Medicare for all, but that should be the compromise, right? That still maintains, that's government subsidies for a for-profit health insurance system. And I don't love that. I don't think that we need that. I believe that we can work our way step by step to true single payer healthcare, where doctors are compensated appropriately, nurses are cared for appropriately, all of our healthcare professionals have great jobs and have an ability to pay their, well, and honestly, that gets into student loan policy, but make sure that they have a livable future and can actually have a survivable career, right? And a humane career. We don't talk about that enough as well for our healthcare professionals. We need to make sure that they have a work-life balance.
I'm in the healthcare field.
Yeah.
I'm a licensed massage therapist.
Yeah.
I actually became this
critical.
Literally so I could decide and tell people, no, I'm only working 20 hours a week because I make $40 an hour. I make more working working 20 hours a week than I would make working 40. Why would I want to work 40? But again, that's where, the government goes, well, you have to figure out it's better for you to work 40 hours a week at $15 an hour than work 20 hours a week at 40. And I'm sitting there going, how?
And there are these pieces of these requirements, right? And we see it in all these different places. We see it in the same types of requirements that folks have regarding getting on disability benefits, right? Making sure that they have that level of lack of functionality, or that they've applied to this kind of job, or they've been certified as unable to work, when it should be, if you can't work a full-time job without all of your supports, then you should qualify for disability, right? Instead of, oh, well, with everything, you don't qualify. So.
Yep. And for me, I'll be the first to tell you, winter is worse for me than summer, because with all my issues, the cold, barometric pressure, all of that, it affects me. Yeah. I will literally have days where I am bedridden. I had to call my boss, actually not this year, thankfully, but the previous winters, hey, I'm so sorry. I can't even put weight on my leg today. I can't come in. And I feel horrible having to call the chiropractor and say, listen, I'm sorry, I can't hold to the things I promised to because my body's not working with me. But then again, last summer, I also coughed and pulled 8 of my 10 false ribs out of place. So he's well aware of the fact that my body doesn't like me. He's been adjusting my hips and putting me back into place for 2.5 years now.
I once sneezed and coughed in the shower. I had a head cold that had become bilateral pink eye, and so I was showering to go to the CVS Minute Clinic to get treatment for the pink eye. This is when I was in veterinary school, and I was studying, and you know, life was crazy. And I remember I coughed in the shower and threw my back out. So then my back was out. I could barely walk. I had to get myself to CVS Minute Clinic. It was a mess. I ended up in the hospital. It was crazy. And so there is this piece, and then, right, my back is out. Things are terrible. I can barely walk. I'm literally in a wheelchair in the hospital. And I asked the doctor for a doctor's note to be able to delay the test that I had like 2 days later. And he said it wouldn't be fair to my classmates. And I was like, sir, do you not see me in a wheelchair right now, struggling, and you're prescribing me pain medication for the pain that I'm in?
But it would be fair to the rest of everybody else.
How about
something be fair to me for once, okay? How about we be fair to me for once?
The deprivation of care and the injustice that exists for folks in the disability community is so profound. And then we get into this piece of the reality of marriage inequality, right? We talk a lot about marriage equality for the queer community, but we don't really talk about it very much for the disability community. And the fact that a lot of people are lifelong partnered, but can't marry their partners because if they do, they will lose their disability benefits. And that should not be the case. And that is a policy failure. Full stop. And that's something we can fix. And so this is part of why, you know, this isn't just like representation matters. It's not like, oh yeah, send somebody who's part of the disability community to Congress because you want to see somebody in the disability community to Congress. It's no, send somebody in the disability community to Congress because they understand the issues, the actual structural failures that are in the system and are willing to fight them.
Yeah. You know, I'll be the first to admit that my pain in my shoulder from my fiber started when I was 7. At 22, I started going to the doctor to try to find out why I was in so much pain here.
Yeah.
I'm a woman. It's all in my head. Take an antihistamine, decongestant, you'll feel better because it's all in your head. It's this, it's this. Nobody actually stopped to ever X-ray or MRI or send me to physical therapy or any of that. So at 32, I walked into my doctor's office and point blank told her, if you don't listen to me and help me with the pain, I'm going home and unaliving myself. I cannot do this anymore. I've been in this state of pain, just progressively getting worse and worse and worse for over a decade. I can't do this. I had 2 small kids at home. I couldn't do it. She goes, well, if you say you're in pain, you're in pain. And pain is your body's way of saying something. That's not wrong. She goes, let's start with physical therapy. And then 30 days later, if that doesn't work, she goes, we'll do all the blood tests, MRI, x-rays, all of that. She goes, but your insurance is going to require 30 days of physical therapy before they approve anything else. So we did that. Then blood work, this, finally got all of my diagnosis at 32. That was 9 years ago, almost 10 years ago. I am finally at the point where I can do the things I want to do with my life. I can go hiking. I might not be able to hike more than 2 miles before my legs give out, but I can hike. I used to not even be able to walk a block. I could not stand for longer than 2 minutes at a time. I can stand for 20 before I have to start shifting around because, nope, my lower back's killing me and things are starting to pinch and rub. So there's improvement, but I still have days where I get out of bed and I'm hunched over until I can use my foam roller to pop my back into alignment because my spine's out of alignment again. That's my daily.
I know that feeling.
If I didn't know about the foam roller and how to fix my own body, I would be bedridden, which I am so sorry you are, Michelle.
I have literally been at house parties and had my now fiance, pulling on my legs to try to pop my spine back into alignment. Where, like, legitimately, I'm like, oh, I'll be right back. And I go have to lie. I'm like, hey, come with me. And I go lie down and I'm pressing on my femurs and he's pulling on my feet. And then I feel it clunk back into place. And I go, okay, we can go back to the party. It's crazy.
You know, and then a lot of that, the thing that kills me the most is they didn't even start studying women's bodies till the 90s. They put us on birth control based on men's hormones. They are finally started to figure out our bodies, and now they're taking all the funding away so they don't figure out anything else about females' bodies, and we just kind of stand where we are. How?
And taking our birth control away.
And it's like, okay, so you want us to have babies, but you don't want to put us in a safe environment to have kids. You don't want to put us in a safe environment where we can support them. We can support the ones we already have. We can get pregnant and actually have the kid without fear of something happening and us needing life-saving care that we're not going to be able to be provided for because we're now in a state that has a total abortion ban. And then we can talk about HR 722, which is the Life and Conception Act, which will literally be the foundation for a nationwide abortion ban if it goes into play.
So I was raised by a mother who was getting her master's in public health with a focus in women's reproductive health when I was like 5. So I remember being literally a toddler while she was in class, because of course this was the 90s. She just took us to school with her, and my brother, my sister, and I were sliding down banisters and running around while she was in class, drinking juice and sitting on benches in the hallways. Nobody really blinked twice, which is kind of amazing. But it also meant that my entire life I have known more than any health class will ever teach you. And it is so horrifying to me to live in a time where we are watching not just, our daughters or the next generation, but us having fewer rights than our parents. And knowing that my grandmother was having illegal abortions because, back alley, unsanitary, life-threatening procedures because it was illegal at the time. And the reproductive care, the reproductive rights that we have had until the fall of Roe v. Wade was life-changing and life-saving for so many women. So many women. And the idea that now we're somehow just allowing that to slip away? No.
Yeah.
No, we can't.
The whole reason why, and understand, I have 2 kids. I would love to have a third. I'd love to have a fourth. I wanted 4 kids. I can't afford 4 kids. I can barely afford the 2 I have. It's the reason why my husband and I, we opted 3 years ago. We've been celibate. We have not had physical intimacy that way in 3 years. Why? Because even on birth control, using a condom, the condom broke, birth control failed, and I ended up pregnant with my son.
Sorry.
So
obviously wonderful that you have your son, but I'm so sorry that happened. And that's how the way that you're having to live right now, right? In your marriage where intimacy should be a beautiful part of your relationship and what you're getting to experience.
And fortunately for me, he's asexual. So not having that does not bother the man at all. Only man I've ever known that going 3 years without, sleeping next to the woman he loves. Cool, no problem. He'd rather not and have me than have something happen to me because we did. Because we live in a state where when I've had 5 miscarriages, and one of them I was about 18 weeks along. Fetal heartbeat stopped, and they decided, because this is what my state does, that they just wanted my body to get rid of it naturally. They weren't going to do a D&C. They were going to wait.
Risk you going septic.
Yeah. Well, that's just it. I went septic. I was 5 weeks post fetal heartbeat stopping. Baby was still inside of me. My body was showing no signs of trying to get rid of it. And they didn't want to do it, except I was on death's door.
Yeah.
And that is the only way my state will do a D&C if the body's not getting rid of the baby and you're going septic. They won't just do it going, well, the fetus heartbeat's done. We know that it's been like that for 3 days. If we let it go on any longer, it's going to start decaying. You're going to start absorbing it. That's bad. That's why women die.
Yes.
Okay? That's why women have died throughout all of history, is because miscarriages happen. And unfortunately, sometimes the brain or their body does not get the trigger to get rid of it and stays pregnant.
Yes.
Women die from shit like that. Yes. Women die from ectopic pregnancy.
Ectopic pregnancy is so common.
By definition, what it is
are inherently non-viable.
Fertilized egg, the fertilized egg attaches to the fallopian tube and not the uterus. By definition, if not resolved, it is fatal to the mother.
Yep. And it's non-viable 100% of the time.
It is non-viable. Even if it has a heartbeat, it is non-viable. There is no way for that egg to actually ever become anything more than a clump of cells that is eventually going to rupture. Yep. That's
absolutely
all it
right.
is.
Yeah.
So
it's a ticking
things
time
like
bomb.
that where we have bans on that because they're so afraid of touching the woman because they'll lose their license and be put in jail for saving her life. Or the states where you can now be jailed for having a miscarriage. Do people not
Yeah.
understand miscarriages just fucking happen? That over 70% of first-time
They are
pregnancies end in
incredibly
miscarriage?
common. Yeah.
They are
Most women,
so
if
common.
not every woman I know that has had a child has at some point miscarried, right? And the idea
It's
that it's something
now
abnormal is
it's not. Do you
absurd
know?
because it is a totally normal part of our biologic process
Mm-hmm.
that if a embryo, if something didn't quite go right in the genetic recombination, and this is also me being a nerdy doctor, but if things just didn't
This is
quite
exactly
form
what I was
right
going to bring
in the
up.
genetic recombination, that is part of biology. The body will go, oop, sorry, we didn't quite copy paste right. We're going to get rid of this one. And that's part of what a miscarriage is. It is, we live in a society where it somehow has become so silent and so shameful and not discussed, right? And that is because we live in this horrible, weird purity culture where women are treated with this scarlet letter when they had a miscarriage, instead of us all embracing them saying, hey, what an incredible loss. We know that you wanted this baby, and I'm so sorry that you lost it. And at the same time, you are going to have another chance, and let's keep charging towards that, right? And
believe it or
instead
not,
we're in a world that's criminalizing it.
yeah, that's exactly part of the reason why we need to have access to that care, because the majority of times that we don't get the care we need, it ends up
Yeah.
sterilizing us. We can't get pregnant again because
Yeah.
we didn't get the care we needed when we needed it. And so therefore
Exactly.
our body's reproductive ability shut down.
Yeah. If you don't get the care you need when there's an ectopic pregnancy, the only solution is losing your fallopian tube. Like, that is the only result, is either you die or you end up in a surgical position where you lose that entire fallopian tube. And now your entire reproductive capacity with those eggs is diminished by 50%, right? You don't have that entire, tunnel from your ovary to your uterus to communicate your natural biology. A lack of access to care, whether it's via the pure regulatory piece, whether it's like truly like outlawing or even just making doctors afraid enough that they will lose their license or be held liable by the state. Like, these are these pieces that make the world so much more dangerous for women.
Yes.
For people with uteruses.
Yep.
And
then
yeah. And I agree,
and on that note,
Michelle,
so,
there
like,
is a piece of like, and I agree, like, a piece of this is making money, but I also think a part of it, and just, I'm going to call it out, is the rise of the religious right. When we are looking at a society that is, and look, let me take a big step back here. I am the descendant of folks that came up on the friggin' Mayflower. Like, when I grew up in Lexington, Massachusetts, where the Battle of Lexington Concord, we just celebrated this past week, Patriots Day. I had 7 ancestors on that green in Lexington. When I have these people trying to quote to me what the founding fathers and founding mothers intended in our documents, it makes my blood boil. You cannot tell me that the founding fathers intended for this to be a Christian nation when there is an overt division of church and state. It is written into our founding documents because the people that founded this country were the victims of religious persecution. And so they made sure that the nation they were founding would not perpetrate that kind of violence against its people. And we are living through a time of decades of intentional structural violence against anyone who isn't part of the far religious right. And this movement against women's reproductive rights is a direct symptom of that. And it's not going to make people money that women are being oppressed. It is, in fact, going to lose us lives. It's going to lose a whole segment of the population that are going to die because of this violence. And it is so rooted in this incredibly toxic religious fascism.
I was going to say, one of the things that people have to understand is I tell everybody, please, please, please go read the writings of our forefathers. Go read the letters they left for each other. Go actually read what they wanted for us, because they detail it out. It's not
read the
this.
Bible.
Here's the thing about
the books that you're quoting and saying that are saying that there are problems in, when it's mistranslated and it's a big game of telephone over centuries.
It's been rewritten, translated. This is it. I don't believe it. But the thing about the forefathers is most of them, by the time they got here, were actually atheists. They genuinely wanted a separation of church and state because they saw what the Vatican did to their country and how they controlled the king, and they didn't want that for us. They wanted
Yes.
something different.
They wanted us to have
Legitimately.
actual freedom.
Yes,
Freedom
go
and
and
liberty
read them.
for
If you
all.
read it, and
Yeah.
here's the thing is, when they say for all, half of the forefathers wanted to free slaves in our Constitution. They wanted to abolish slavery, but they were so afraid that the rest of the people who were there were going to revolt that they couldn't
Right.
do it.
Well, and
They
that's where we
should
get into
have.
capitalism, right?
Yeah.
That is where we
They
get into
should have.
an entire peoples being subjugated based on the color of their skin because of their, at the time, economic value, right? The
Yep.
willingness to perpetrate violence and to subjugate an entire community, an entire race based on the economic value that it created for these white slaveholders. And that is why when people say like, oh, we can only have one economic system, like capitalism, bears no evils. I'm like, well, we can actually see in our nation's history the problems that we have grappled with and had to completely disentangle from our society because of the forces of capitalism within our economic system. And we are still, I think, battling a lot with that of the inherent racism that exists still within our country. And as white women, right, like our brethren are often very much upholding that system of oppression and of systemic institutionalized racism that still exists in this country. And even now we see it not just impacting the Black community, but also impacting the Arab community now, right? So much of what we're seeing in terms of various levels of foreign affairs, right? The Latino community, the level of racism that we're seeing perpetrated, not just institutionally or not just societally, but institutionally by ICE, right? We see so much of the patterns repeating themselves, and people forget that this bigotry and violence was once perpetrated against the Irish and the Italians when they were coming as
I
immigrants.
was about ready to bring that up because, well, let's talk about indentured servants and how that was just white slavery under a pretty name. That's how my ancestors came across.
My ancestor on the Mayflower was an indentured servant. Yeah.
Yep. So understand, when it comes to Irish, there was for a long time, even until the 90s, mind you, until the 90s, there was issues where they were systemically prejudiced against Irish because, oh, they're angry, oh, they're this, oh, they're that. No, we're not all of those things, believe it or not.
No.
We just happen to have redhead. And the only thing that is true is we burn in the sun, and pain medication does not work as well on us. We chew through it way faster.
Yes. That's so true.
Those are medical
Anesthesia,
truths.
anesthesia for redheads, very real. Yeah, genetic differences, incredibly real. Well, I do want to just take a little time. I know that we're approaching the end of the hour. I do want to talk a little bit about my platform because I think we talked about some of it, right? So healthcare, right? Making sure that we have healthcare for all, that we don't just make it affordable, that we truly make it something that we're paying for through our taxes, right? We are paying our taxes. That's great. I don't want them to increase for working people. They shouldn't increase for working people. But instead of spending billions of dollars every day in foreign conflict, we need to be investing those dollars in our healthcare system. So that's number one. Number two is the other big investment we should be making in our educational system. So that is the piece of universal childcare, investing in our public schools, making sure that kids with disabilities have the support they need in classrooms, making sure that teachers aren't having to buy school supplies out of their personal budgets, that they can afford to live in the towns that they're teaching in, right? And then my big third pillar of that is making college more affordable. So number one, there's actually already a bill, I believe it's bicameral, with a supporter in both the House and in the Senate on the Democratic Party, that would eliminate all interest on student loans. All federal student loans would be interest-free. That is something we need to make happen. That can't be an ideal. That has to be something that we absolutely implement ASAP, because people are drowning. And that puts money right back in people's pockets. People that did what they were told to do. They went and they got an education and they did it the right way. The government does not need to be profiting from those loans. People can repay the money that they took out. But I took out, when I went to school, I took out $180,000. I now have never missed a payment, and I owe over $250,000.
Yep. Oh, it's because perfect example is, mind you, I've paid off a few of my student loans. I don't know how, but I'm still working on a third one, which, oh, well, of the $125, 100 of that goes towards interest and 25 goes towards the actual principal, which is the original loan. To me, I'm sorry, it should be opposite. We should not have that much interest if interest is being generated. But that's how
we shouldn't have interest at all.
Get wealthy.
We just shouldn't have the interest
it's
at all.
Because exactly. They're making money off of loaning money out, which they shouldn't be able to do.
Correct. We already pay taxes. We already pay for our government. We don't need to be paying for it over and over and over again, right?
Well, that's where I have a contention with sales tax to a degree, because we're paying taxes on post-tax dollars. Why are we paying more taxes on dollars that have already been taxed?
I would agree with you, Kayla. Free education. And so we have free K through 12, right? We have our public school system, and that's where we need to expand things. We need to expand it into pre-K, right? That's universal childcare. And we need to expand it into secondary or beyond secondary education into college. And so that would look like community college. Here in Massachusetts, we already have free community college across the state, and we need to expand that nationwide. Now, community college, that's a great start, but what we need is our public universities, right? Our state schools need to be made free to in-state students. And if somebody wants to go across state lines and go, if somebody says like, oh, I want to go, I live in Massachusetts, but I really want to go to UMaine, right? You can go. And if you want to take out federal loans for that, you should be able to do that. And then those shouldn't be covered in interest, right? You should have to repay them, but not necessarily with interest. But everybody in Maine should be able to go to UMaine for free. And there are pieces that we'll need to take care of in that, right? Making sure that the schools don't then just like take all out-of-state students. No, there have to be minimums that you meet in terms of in-state students. So there are pieces of this that will need really thoughtful implementation. But this is something we can do. This is something we absolutely can do. And it's what the Department of Education was established to do, to fund our colleges, fund our land-grant universities. We can do that. We have to do that. So that is, for me, the big part of the educational platform, because what we see today is folks are leaning away from college, from higher education, because they just know it's not affordable. They know it's not a financially wise decision for their lives, and so they're not going to do it. And I understand that. But education is how you maintain a populace that can boom and grow and innovate. If we don't have people taking chemistry in college, we're not going to have the biomedical advances that we have been leading on in the United States for a generation. So we have to invest in our education. It's not just a matter of, making sure that kids have the right to it. It's national security. It's the future of our economy. It's the way we build. So that is the education piece. And then my big third is energy policy. So I was an energy and environment staffer. Those go hand in hand on the Hill. So when you work in Congress, often if you're working on energy policy, you're working on environmental protection. And if you're working on environmental protection, you're working on energy policy. And that is an incredible partnership, because what we know is that today renewables are cheaper than fossil fuels. We need to be investing in these technologies, again, for national security, because otherwise we're relying on China for their technology innovations in clean energy. And it brings the costs down. The more we invest in renewables, the lower our energy bills are going to be to cool our houses in the summer and to warm them in the winter. We know that. And then it also protects our environment for the entire next generation. Yes. It protects a livable future for our kids. And why would we not want that? So those are my main tenets. Under all of that, or around all of that, supported by all of that, is the counter-corruption part of my platform. We have so much corruption in our government, not just, I know Democrats like to come out here and hammer the Republican Party. Yeah, they're horrifically corrupt and overtly
so. It's on both sides. It's on both sides.
But it's on both sides. We know it. We see it. We have eyeballs. And so making sure that we're sending people, I am running in this race, like you said with the Maryland race, I'm running in this race against millionaires who are self-funding their campaigns in the millions. Right? I am going up against folks who are claiming that they are supported and that they're by the people, and they are not in the district. They are running around to fundraisers in San Francisco and New York and DC. They're not here. And they're considered the front runners by the mainstream media, because they're raising millions. I have competitors in this race that are raising more than the Senate candidates running for a US House seat. And they're not raising that money to sit and stay in a US House seat. They already have their eyes on the next thing. And so how do you actually represent a district well when you're not even trying to stay in that job for very long?
Right.
Like it is so transparent and so corrupt, but that is just scratching the surface, right? We know I spent my time at the State Department combating environmental crime around the globe and teaching I was teaching officers and prosecutors and judges how to put together cases on really complex organized crime. And that's what we're seeing in the White House right now is organized crime, disorganized crime, whatever you want to call it. It's a crime
Corruption. That's all we see is corruption.
Corruption, corruption, corruption. I keep saying it. I'm getting sick of the word, but it's what we see everywhere. And having worked in government, I know it. I see it. We know it as the American people. We're steeped in it, and it makes people turn away from the news. It makes people feel so hopeless. But the primaries are where we have the chance to change the trajectory. Because there are safe Democratic seats like this one. The primary is the real race. But if we vote for millionaires, they are never going to help us.
Nope. And that's exactly it, is we have to vote for people quite literally who've walked a day in our shoes. Millionaires, I'm not sorry, unless that you can go and prove you are self-made and you grew up poor and you know what it's like to have holes in your shoes and you know what it's like to choose who's going to eat that day so the kids eat, because that was my husband and I last summer's. He ate one day, I ate the next. He ate one day. And there were days where I didn't feel good. He's like, nope, you're eating, period. You're eating, eat food.
There were days in my childhood where the best that we had was like a baked potato. That was my dinner, was a single baked potato that we microwaved. And if you don't understand what that feels like, to have like, I remember my sister got a job in middle school, and the days where she would get paid and we would go to the grocery store and I would get like a Stouffer's TV dinner. Those were the good days, right? Those were the special nights. Like, oh my God, if I got a popsicle.
When you have enough money where you can be like, I'm going to get the Ben and Jerry's pint of ice cream to snack on over the weekend because I have an extra $5 that I can do it. Believe me, I've been there. You know, it's one of
just
those,
this weekend, I was at the grocery store with my parents because, of course, I'm not working right now because I'm running for Congress and this is the full-time job. But it means that I went grocery shopping with my parents and my mom helped buy my groceries, which is an incredible benefit. I'm so lucky and privileged that my mom was willing to do that. But even then, I was looking at prices and putting things back, right? I wasn't taking advantage of it. I was sitting there going, I can't justify. I was literally, this is a true story from this weekend. I picked up a container. I was at Wegmans and I picked up a container of chocolate covered cherries. And I thought, man, these would be great to just keep on my desk and be able to like have a little sweet treat. And I looked at them and they were $13. And I was like, no, I can't justify that.
I can't justify that.
I can't justify that. I can't like, and even if my mom maybe could afford that, I wouldn't ask her to. And I'm running against people who they wouldn't think twice. They wouldn't think twice about just throwing whatever they wanted in their grocery cart. And they don't know what it's like to be checking your account and trying to figure out which card you should use. Right? Like there's just putting things back because you didn't bring enough money today. Like it's a different perspective. And
here's a good one.
Yeah.
My husband, it was about a month ago, he came to me and he let me know that his bank account was overdrawn because energy bill had come in about a week before he realized, and it was almost double what we had planned because, energy went up. So it was one of those like, I'm lucky. I have an emergency cash fund I keep in my Venmo. That's where I get a lot of my tips for what I do for work. Yeah. And I was able to just send $300 over to him and say, let me know if you need more. Why? Because I have that little bit of cash in my Venmo account. Yeah. But I don't have that ability to do it right now because I have to build that fund back up.
A majority of Americans can't afford a $500 emergency.
Yeah, they can't.
The vast majority can't afford it if something happens with their car or their kid gets sick or their dog needs to go to the vet. I mean, we haven't even touched on my profession, which is getting so corrupted and so unbelievably damaged by corporate interests and private equity. It is, I keep saying it's going to become more expensive to have a dog than it is to have a kid. Like it's insane. I mean, I took my 3 pets to the vet today just for their annual physicals. Not even all of them get blood work. I got blood work for my 2 cats, passed on it for my dog because he's young and fairly healthy.
Right.
We spent $1,300
Yep.
on
I
3
have to take
annual
all 3 of the
physicals
girls
and blood
to,
work for the 2
to get their
cats.
annual in the next month, and all 3 of them need blood work. And Quetzalcoatl's the oldest. She's going on 8 years old now, and it's like,
Great name
yeah,
for a cat, by the way. Yeah.
right. Oh, she's right here actually.
Oh
Just my
my
little
God,
Quetzalcoatl.
look at that little loaf.
She is a
Perfection.
Bengal, and if you go through my videos at any time, you can see a picture of her. She's got this orange lightning bolt on her face.
I love that. I've got a tortoise shell and
That's
a
such a good
Devon
name.
calico, and they are spicy girls.
I have a calico, Samhain. She has a torty attitude. She has a calico with a torty attitude. Like,
Yeah.
she
A
acts
tortitude,
like she's the
as we
biggest.
call it in the industry.
She does. She's 24 pounds. She is part Maine Coon. She's 60% Maine Coon and like 10% Norwegian Forest Cat, and then a mix.
Yeah.
But she's this big freaking cat. She we call her the gangsta kitty. She looks like she's mean mugging. She sounds like, I call her Little Miss Growly Hisses, and I warn the vet. She growls and hisses, but
Yeah.
she's not gonna bite. She's not gonna scratch. Believe it or not, she's the
all talk.
sweetest little
Yeah.
cuddle bug in the world. She just looks and sounds like she's mean and nasty. She's not. Not.
Oh, I love
So
that.
cute.
Yeah,
Thank
and I
you for
mean,
the
for
follow,
me,
Joshua.
that is what brought me into policy. And like that is really what made me shift from being a clinical clinician, from being a clinical doctor to going into policy. Is I was seeing how close families are living to the edge. I mean, I would go into the ER and I would go, oh, what's going on with this case? Oh, that's, a chemotherapy dog here to see oncology. Yeah, the owners remortgaged their house to afford his treatments.
I paid for Knox's cancer, and that is the reason why I am now in debt and being sued by one of the credit card companies. Is
Yep.
$12,000.
Yeah.
She was in remission until the very end, and the original tumors were gone, but she had 3 new tumors growing in her stomach, and
So
it was
sorry.
just.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
It
You
is.
know,
But you got
unfortunately,
good time. You got good
yeah.
time. And that's
We got the extra
that's
9
all we
months,
could ask
and
for.
I wouldn't trade that for anything.
Yeah.
The flip side is the fact that 2 of my last 5 cats have died of cancer, and I'm 100% sure it's the water, because the water where we live is not good. And if you know anything about the White River and then everything that feeds into the White River, the water is not good. That's
Yeah.
the issue a lot of the Midwest faces.
and
we have
and when
water
we
that makes
see
us
things
sick.
like AI data centers starting to pop up across the country, right? We know that that's polluting our water. It's going to be raising cancer rates. So a big thing of what I worked on also in Congress was PFAS, right? And all the runoff that we see in areas around airports where they've used AFFF, the firefighting foam, in areas where, so I was working in a Minnesota office, and so DuPont was headquartered there. And we were working to create federal programs to remediate water sources and to try to clean these forever chemicals out of the environment. And that is not a partisan issue.
No,
Getting
it's not.
cancer-causing molecules out of the earth, out of our water, should not be a partisan issue. This is not
No.
just about corporate
It should be a
responsibility. This is
no-brainer.
about protecting people from things that are literally causing cancer through communities. We've all seen Aaron Brockovich. We know that this is a huge problem for communities. It goes beyond the words of just environmental justice. This is life-saving. So we need folks that understand these issues. This is part of what I'm talking about. I am the only scientist in this race as well. And so being able to bring my understanding of science and biology and environmental protection into Congress, it is so much more than just, saying, well, a Democrat's a Democrat's a Democrat. That is not the case.
Because they're not. They're not.
They're
and
not.
let me tell you, in that case, I have quite a few people that if they get in office too, I want to make sure you guys are working together, because, oh, good Lord, I hear the same thing out of you. And one of them, she actually used to work for the federal government in their water department, Amanda Bell.
Yeah, probably in the
Another
EPA.
one, yep. Another one is he's still currently an environmental scientist, and part of his job is he's the one, when there's a chemical spill, they go out, they clean it up, and then they let the
Yes.
government know to go retest everything to make sure it's still good. That's what his job is. And I'm like, we need more of those. We need more people who actually clean up the chemical spills, the oil spills, all the things that get into the ground that make us sick, instead of just, oh, well, it's fine. It'll be out of the ground in 7 to 15 years. But in the meantime, that 7 to 15 years, do you know how many people are going to get sick?
And also, it won't be. That is an assumption.
won't
That
be.
is a projection. The answer is it won't be. right? So many studies are funded by the corporations that were the ones that released the pollutants in the first place. And so they have a financial benefit to smearing the data, to making sure that people look the other way, right? And it is such a scary, scary time where we are we are seeing a level of oligarchy and consolidation of wealth that we haven't seen since just before the Great Depression.
Yep.
And this isn't just a matter of protecting us right now. This is a matter of, if we don't break up these monopolies, if we don't institute strong antitrust and hold companies to account, we are in deep trouble.
Yeah, if we don't
Beyond
break up
the
BlackRock's
immediate.
monopolies. Because,
Yeah.
if we,
Yes.
we'll put a pin in it because it's
and
5 o'clock and I know I got to let you go.
Yeah. So sorry, I've got a hard stop.
No,
But
you're
what a
fine.
great conversation. It was a joy to spend this time with you. And thank you, everybody who's been watching along. It's so nice to meet you all. And MariahLancaster.com. It's really, as a first-time grassroots candidate, if you have even $5 that you could help support the campaign, it makes such a big difference. The metric that the world uses to measure viability for these campaigns
Is money.
is money, is what's your fundraising. That's what the newspapers are looking for. It's what endorsing organizations are looking for.
Yep.
It's what even, like, if you go to a local elected and you say, I want you to support my campaign, they say, well, how's your fundraising going? And so having grassroots communities really support candidates like me across the country, it changes the game. And it is how we are going to change the Democratic Party.
It's like, I tell everybody, I would love to donate to your campaign. I would donate for my both personal and my business. I can't do that right now. So instead, I'm going to give you the most invaluable resource I have, my time. Because it is. I could, as a massage therapist, $150 an hour starting. That's how much my time is worth. So $250 an hour, easy. But I would rather sit here and go, hey, can you give me an hour, 2 hours of your time, and let's have a conversation. And even if we can't do it all in one, I'll have you back on in a month. Because like I said, September 1st is your primary. I want to get you on and get you out to everybody that we can. Because the more people that come in and conversate, especially I'm hearing, oh, I like her. That means they're going to push you out because of my people like you. Trust me, they're going to be like, have you heard of this person yet? You should really go watch their video. Go have a conversation with them. Because I love my community for that. They understand that what I'm doing is important to me and it's also important to them. Why? Because we're not alone. Part of what I'm doing is just proving to people, I know they have us divided. I know they want you to feel like you're by yourself. I know they want you to think your vote doesn't count, but it does.
It does.
Vote 411.org.
Yeah.
Go check. Because here's the thing is, I just went on 3 days ago and I was no longer registered to vote. Please, 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 please go to vote411.org to make sure you are still registered to vote in your state. Because here's the thing. The Republican Party, if you're registered as Democrat or Independent, can kick you off the voter registration rolls and they don't have to notify you. Yeah. So please, 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 just double check and make sure you're registered to vote. Because I would hate for you to go out and not have the opportunity to use your voice. Because that's illegal. That's criminal right there.
Yep.
But then again, they're trying to make it so hard for people to vote because they don't want us using our voices, because they want us thinking we're by ourselves, because they don't want to know that. There's 10 candidates I've talked to, their number day one, oh, they're all impeaching him. There's another 15 candidates I've talked to, they're all for healthcare for all. There's another this and this and this. So I'm like, do you know this person yet? Do you know this person yet? No? Let me get you in contact with them because I think you guys work together great. Yeah. Because I want to make sure everybody has allies, because that is the only way we are going to beat this fascist regime. The only way we're going to take back our power is to band together and do it together.
People ask me every day on the campaign trail, how are you going to get that done? And the answer is, I can't do it alone. We do everything in coalition. We build camaraderie, we build solidarity, and that is how we accomplish our goals. That is how we build the future that we all know we deserve. So thank you for building this community and for giving me this platform to talk to your community.
Of course.
And folks, come follow me. You can follow me on this account, but the account that I'm going to be posting on more is Lancaster #4 Congress, because this one, unfortunately, We accidentally created it in the UK when it first got posted, and
Oops.
TikTok won't allow us to reassign it to the geographic location of America. So we started a second
Gotcha.
TikTok to reassign it to the US. But we have
Okay,
also,
bet.
we're just in a continual battle with TikTok to try to bring this sport count home. But thank you again.
Yeah,
for the
so
time. So
I know
wonderful to
Nairobi.
meet your followers.
I told her I would send a copy of this to her when we're done, once I get it
Great.
downloaded to my
Yeah.
computer, so you guys
And
can
you can
use
literally
it in
also
your
send it to
marketing.
me, literally Mariah at mariahlancaster.com. If anybody wants to shoot me an email, you're welcome to. All
And
right.
then I will also touch base with you to get you rescheduled, because I want to keep having you on, because I learned so much from you. We found out more about you, your platform, your policies, but we also learned about you as a person. And that's a lot of why I'm doing this is, yes, tell us about your platform, your policies, but sometimes I want to know, how many pets do you have? You know, what's your nerdy passion? What's this? What's that? If you could snap your fingers and make one thing law, what would that be? Why?
Yes.
Because I want to get to know you, because we, the American people, we are tired of not knowing who's representing us and who's going to be there on our side. And even if we're in one state, like somebody's in Alaska, even if you're in Alaska, isn't it good to know who's in Kentucky, Tennessee, Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, Massachusetts, New York, that's actually on your side? Isn't it better to just have more than one or two representatives from your state on your side? That's the point of this, is to let everybody know we have so far 20 people who are on our side, and it's just started. Literally.
Yes. Absolutely.
I have
We're just
15 more already scheduled. So it's one of those, I'm just getting started and you guys are getting started. And so throughout the campaign to the primary, and even after that, let's say you get on it, fantastic, next steps. Let's say for some reason you don't, because that is always a possibility. I still want to have you on to talk about that and talk about your next steps, because what I'm hearing from everybody is, even if they don't make it this time, they're not done. They're not done.
We can't be done.
They have a
we can't be done. The
passion
moment we
for
decide we're
helping
done,
people.
the game's over, right? Like and I keep talking about that with people, because people go, why are you doing this? Why are you running it? It's so horrible out there. And I'm like, the moment we give up, they've won. Game over. Like, we have to fight. If we don't fight, we've already lost.
Whereas I get asked why I'm not running because I sound so passionate about it. I could. Oh, let's be honest. I am a very charismatic person. I would probably win. And I could help 10, 15, maybe 20,000 people. Or I could give a platform and a voice to over 100 people. And let's say maybe 10 of them are able to win, some of that with my help. Fantastic. Guess what? I just helped 200,000 people instead. I like that number better. I can use my skills in a different way to help the people who actually want to be in those positions, because I don't want to run. At least at this point in my life. But again, at 14,
I feel like I could talk most people out of politics.
Yeah.
All right.
It's like at 14, I promised myself. But yeah.
Speaking of running, I should run. But thank you so much. And I look forward to the next conversation.
Yes,
Bye.
I will talk to you soon. I think my son is actually playing I Want It That Way. Yeah, he is. Okay, well, everybody, that was Dr. Mariah Lancaster. She is running in Massachusetts for their Congressional District 6, that is the U.S. House of Representatives on the federal level. Their primary election is September 1st. She is running against 6 others at this point in time. So if you're not already following her, give her a follow at Lancaster for Congress. That again is Lancaster 4 Congress. So I'm going to hop off and make myself another cup of tea, but I will be back in about 15, 20 minutes. I'm going to sit and chat with you guys for a little bit. I love listening to him play his saxophone in the background. And thank you all for the likes. I greatly appreciate all of you. But yes, give me a few minutes and I will be right back to chat and catch up.